Construct and understand cumulative relative frequency tables for a set of data. That is a mouthful. What is all of this? Well, we're going to talk about these terms in relation to an actual table. So if we are creating a frequency table, right, that is just a table of the first two lines here. The data values in the first column and then the frequency, with the frequency being the count of how many times does the data actually appear in the data set. Well, the relative frequency that you see in the next column is a different way to represent the frequency. So we would take the ratio of frequency to the total. So we would first total up the frequency and then take the frequency divided by the total for each particular data piece. So we get kind of the proportion of data that falls in that particular spot. Now, the goal for today is the cumulative relative frequency. Basically, this is a running total up to and including that piece of data. So the entire relative frequency column should add up to 1, and the cumulative relative frequency is kind of the, first we just have this one. Let's call this A. Then we would take A plus B. This one is A plus B plus C, and this one is A plus C plus A plus B plus C plus D, which is 1. Right? So that's kind of the idea, and it'll make more sense when we actually get into a problem where we have numbers. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the same piece, we are going to take that table that we just talked about, and we are going to fill in the last two columns. So first we are going to find the relative frequency. To do that, we have to start by finding the total frequency. So 5 plus 8 plus 9 plus 3 is 25. So my total frequency is 25, and now I am ready to find my relative frequency. So to find this one here, my frequency is 5, so I would take 5, I'm going to put it over here, 5 divided by 25, and my relative frequency is 0.2. Then I will take 8 divided by 25 and get 0.32, and then I take 9 divided by 25 and get 0.36, and last but not least, I take 3 divided by 25 and I get 0.12. If I add those four together, I surely do indeed get 1. Right? Remember, this is 0.20 here. Okay, so that's part A. Check. I found the relative frequency. Now, the cumulative frequency column, I like to think of it as add as you go. So we start with the first one. I have 0.20. That's an easy one. I only have that. But now to find the next one, I take 0.20 because that's what I had first, and I add to it the 0.32. So that gives me a cumulative relative frequency of 0.52. Okay, great. Now I take what I had, 0.52, and I add to it the 0.36. So now I have 0.88. For the last one, I take my 0.88 and I add my 0.12, which is in fact 1. So hopefully you see how that is an add as you go kind of a thing. And that is a cumulative relative frequency table for a set of data. Okay, if that's enough for you, go ahead and sign off. Otherwise, let's do one more. So again, we have our column of frequency. We need to find our relative frequency first by finding the total. So 31 plus 8 plus 5 plus 6 gives me a frequency of 50. So to find my relative frequency, I start by taking 31 divided by 50, and I get 0.62. Then I take 8 divided by 50, 0.16, and then I take 5 divided by 50, and I get 0.10, and last but not least, 6 divided by 50 for 0.12. The cumulative frequency is add as you go. The first one, the relative frequency and the cumulative relative frequency are the same. Then we add. What did I have before? And I add the next piece. So the next piece is the 0.16. So now I'm at 0.78. So now I take my 0.78 and I add 0.10. Oh, my zero's not showing up. There we go. 0.10, so I have 0.88. And then last but not least, I have 0.88 plus 0.12, which is indeed 1. And that is working through. So just remember, when you have the cumulative relative frequency, anytime you see the cumulative, we're talking about add as you go. And that hopefully is a little bit of helpful piece to get you through.